This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good day again, everyone. We're coming back on the air to bring you the first public comments from Trump confidant Roger Stone following his arrest and indictment this morning by special counsel Robert Mueller's office. Stone appearing in federal court in Florida this morning with his attorneys is emerging now. We expect him to make some remarks to the reporters who were gathered outside that courthouse, standing with, we believe, members of his legal team. He has been outspoken in the past, already speaking in the last few minutes on a radio program, professing his innocence and saying that he will not bear false witness against the president, meaning if offered, he would not speak out against the president or contradict his claims of no collusion and innocence. So here is the scene. Let's listen.
Mr. Stone is going to speak. He speaks for himself. You know that Roger Stone has always spoken for himself. He's never been shy about telling his story. He is innocent. We're going to defend this case, and we're going to win this case. But let me start out by saying that the spectacle this morning was completely unnecessary. Everyone knows where Roger Stone is. He's not in hiding. The spectacle this morning with a SWAT team breaking into his house, searching the house, scaring his wife, scaring his dogs, completely unnecessary. A telephone call would have done the job, and Mr. Stone would have appeared. But let Roger speak for himself. There's nothing to hide. He has nothing to hide, and he's spoken before, and he'll speak to you now. Roger?
Congratulations, Roger.
Gotcha, Roger.
Thank you.
Stand with you, Roger.
Thank you. Well, as I have always said, the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. After a 2-year inquisition, the charges today relate in no way to Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other illegal act in connection with the 2016 campaign.
I am falsely accused of making false statements during my testimony to the House Intelligence Committee. That is incorrect. Any error I made in my testimony would be both immaterial and without intent. I find it disturbing that the special counsel's office released a press release prior to informing my attorneys that I would be charged today. This morning, at the crack of dawn, 29 FBI agents arrived at my home with 17 vehicles with their lights flashing when they could simply have contacted my attorneys, and I would have been more than willing to surrender voluntarily. They terrorized my wife, my dogs. I was taken to the FBI facility, although I must say the FBI agents were extraordinarily courteous. I will plead not guilty to these charges. I will defeat them in court. I believe this is a politically motivated investigation. I am troubled by the political motivations of the prosecutors. And as I have said previously, there is no circumstance whatsoever under which I will bear false witness against the president, nor will I make up lies to ease the pressure on myself. I look forward to being fully and completely vindicated.
Roger, did you cooperate with the special counsel's office? Did you in any way cooperate with the special counsel's office?
Since I was not contacted prior to the charges today, and my lawyers have not talked to the special prosecutors, I don't want to address that question, but I have made it clear I will not testify against the president. Because I would have to bear false witness against him.
Will you work with the prosecutor?
I will be appearing for an arraignment in D.C. next week, and I'll address those questions at that time.
Roger, the president said that you had guns. He tweeted that. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I intend to tell the truth. I have told the truth through this entire proceeding, and I will prove that in a court of law.
How strong is your allegiance to President Trump?
I am one of his oldest friends. I am a fervent supporter of the president. I think he is doing a great job of making America great again.
Roger, did anyone tell you to contact in the Trump campaign to contact WikiLeaks?
No, I've addressed that before. That is incorrect.
Roger, if you're convicted, do you think the president would pardon you? If you're convicted, do you think the president will pardon you?
Pardon me?
If you were convicted, do you think the president would pardon you?
The only person I've advocated a pardon for is Marcus Garvey.
Some from NBC News, sir.
Yes.
The question is, did you in any way work with the Russians to help President Trump?
Categorically not. No, absolutely not.
And the prosecutor, your special prosecutor,
We got you, Roger.
is gathering
We got
evidence.
you
Has
back,
this
Roger.
indictment, will you in any way,
With all due respect, I haven't even had a chance to read the indictment.
you haven't even read the indictment?
Correct. My attorneys have. I have not had that opportunity.
So will you help the prosecutor answer his question?
I will address those questions next week in Washington, D.C.
Roger,
Thank you.
if you didn't do nothing wrong, what do you think you here?
Roger Stone in an absolute mob scene of reporters, supporters, and protesters there proclaiming his innocence, saying he will not plead guilty to the charges he faced that came down in the form of indictment from the special counsel's office today. He has had his first court appearance at a federal court in Florida today. This is not the formal arraignment. That will come, but he has made it clear that if asked, he will not cooperate. He would not testify against the president. He says he will plead not guilty. He will defeat them in court, and them referring to the special counsel, saying it's a politically motivated prosecution. He said he did nothing that would be illegal in way of Russian collusion, that they have no such case. Let's go to Kerry Sanders. Kerry, we couldn't hear all of your exchange with Stone. Give us the highlights of what was said.
My brother's name's Kerry, too.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Kerry Sanders. All right, we'll get to Kerry in a moment. Let's go to Pete Williams now, our justice correspondent, who's watching all this from our Washington newsroom. What stood out to you there as you were watching, Pete?
that he says that he did not, that no one at the campaign told him to contact the Russians. And that is one of the allegations that's in the indictment against Roger Stone today. The special counsel says that Roger Stone was urged by a member of the Trump campaign to find out what else WikiLeaks may have on the Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. And according to Roger Stone, of course, he brought this on himself by initially claiming he was in touch with Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks. Later, he changed that to say, no, I wasn't. And what the indictment says is that he was dealing with WikiLeaks through an intermediary, a talk show host named Randy Credico. So the two charges here, Lester. One is that Roger Stone himself in September of 2017 lied to Congress when he denied having these contacts. And secondly, that he urged Randy Credico himself to lie and invoked the name of a character from the Godfather movie who lied to Congress when in that film. So the allegation here, by the way, what you heard people yelling in the background was, lock him up. So this has gotten a huge amount of attention down there in South Florida, starting with the arrest this morning, Roger Stone complaining about the FBI coming to his house pre-dawn, and instead of just inviting him to turn himself in.
And just to be clear, because this is going to come up, Pete, is it standard procedure? I assume this is obviously a felony. Is it standard procedure to come in with the heavy weapons and the heavy presence?
Oh, it varies. I think one of the reasons they did this is that they haven't had a lot of contact with him and his lawyers, the special counsel. And secondly, there is a charge of obstruction of justice here. And so I suppose the government could say, we were concerned that because he's tried to mislead us in the past, that if we asked him to come in nicely, he might not have done that.
All right. We want to go to, Pete, thanks. Go to Kerry Sanders now. You saw him outside the courthouse standing right next to Roger Stone. Kerry, I couldn't hear all of your exchange because of the loud crowd there. Can you give us the highlights of your conversation with him?
Well, I attempted to ask him, first of all, about whether his allegiance in any way wavered for the president. It does not. Many of the questions that were shouted here had to do with the arrest this morning, which he felt was inappropriate. He said he wasn't going anywhere. And I think what was most interesting to me also was when I asked him about the indictment, he said he hadn't even read the indictment. His attorneys had looked at it, but he had not even read the indictment yet. So you heard the jeering, you heard the cheering. It was more jeers than cheers, but a large crowd out here as he attempted to proclaim his innocence and to say that he would not be helping the Mueller investigation against President Trump. Of course, that's what he says here outside the federal court. We'll see what happens in the coming days once he's actually seated in front of the team of attorneys, prosecutors here, who will be asking him some very pointed questions.
All right, Kerry Sanders, thanks very much. And he also echoed what we've heard from the president, almost a one-size-fits-all approach.